Hey, everybody, it's Chris Aiken from the Classic Metal Show and the Aftershocks podcast. And I know you want to see this next episode, but right before we do it, just want to remind you that if you have an Amazon device, whether it's a TV or a Fire Stick or Fire Cube or whatever it would be, a Firebox if you're old school, make sure you add the CMSPN to it. Just look up CMS Podcast Network on your Amazon device, add the channel, and you will get every episode of all 4 shows for free right there on your TV. Make us part of your TV viewing every single day and night, all right? It's the CMS Podcast Network, cmspn.com, and it is now on Amazon. So get it, all right? All right, here's the episode you came to see.
Do it. All right. Shockwave Skull Sessions, episode number 125. And of course, without this man right here, there is no Skull Sessions for the past 15 years. Of course, I'm talking about the one, the only, the Armenian maven of metal, Bob Nalbandian. What's up, Bob?
Hey, we got 2 Armenian mavens here.
Oh, how about that?
Margarita.
All right.
Yes.
I guess, is it okay to expose your Armenian heritage here?
Of course.
a proud, 2 proud Armenians.
All right.
Well, there you go. We got Margarita Monet from Edge of Paradise here, an old friend. How you doing, Margarita?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. We've known each other for quite a while since the band formed. What, back in 2012, right? No, 2011. I think your first album came out, right? Mass?
Yeah. We celebrate our 10-year anniversary. Actually, when the album comes out. So
That's
been a
perfect.
while.
Right.
Excellent. So, Margarita, I mean, now that you guys are like a decade into it, you got 4 full lengths. Do you finally feel like you're no longer like being treated and considered as a quote unquote, new band? Because it's funny now when you're around 10 years or less now, people still consider bands to be new, which is interesting. But you guys now have been doing 4 records. So do you feel like people are finally recognizing you guys now as no longer a new band? You're a veteran band that's now been doing this for a decade?
Yeah, I think so. A bit of that, but also we kind of carved our own path in a way. We've been building up our own fan base, so the band can keep growing on its own. And yeah, I mean, of course, like every day, like especially when we're releasing these new singles, a lot of people that haven't heard the band are like, "Oh, it's a new band," So every time new people, they look at us like a new band. But we've had a lot of fans that's been following us for 10 years now. So I guess it just depends on how you look at it. We don't feel like a new band because we've been doing it for so long, and we've been able to do. We have a big history behind us now. We've had so many ups and downs and so many adventures. But yeah, we don't mind being called a new band. We're the band of the future. So
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, it's funny.
That's
Bands that are like 20 years old now, I mean, people still consider like Avenged Sevenfold as, us older guys. Oh, they're like the new breed of metal. It's like they've been around for 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
It's crazy that, that's happened. But you've really done everything. I mean, you and Dave together have built this band up from scratch, and just from, I know the last couple albums and the new album that's coming out is on Frontiers, but you did pretty much everything independently. And, it makes a great argument for people that say, oh, the music scene and the metal scene has changed. You can't really build anything on your own without the support of record labels or the support of this. But you've really did everything independently. The videos, the touring, going out. You've had Michael Wagner produced your albums, and this new album is produced by Howard Benson. I mean, you really, really paid your dues, and I really got to give it to you, Margarita, you and Dave, for hanging in there so long. And the last 10 years, it's been a struggle, but it's definitely starting to pay off. It looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely literally started from zero. I mean, especially me, I came in from like a completely different world. So, looking back over the years, I am we had just so many experiences, and yeah, I mean, it's been a struggle. I think everything we've done, because we always had the mindset like we want to do something, you know, on a big level. Like even when we put out like the first few albums, we tried to go to the best people, get the best production, and even though we didn't have the, you know, the budgets for it, we just figured out how to do it. And with each music video, we wanted to be bigger and better. With each tour, we wanted to be bigger. So we always kind of set the bar high, you know, higher and higher, and that just kind of kept us moving forward. But yeah, I think what really is important when you do, you know, starting out independently from zero is to really focus on your sound, because I think we were lost for majority of the time, like for the first, I feel like 4 or 5 years. It really took us a lot of years to figure out what we wanted to sound like, what we wanted the band to be defined by. And, you know, in a way, I'm grateful for, oh, there he is. But in a way, I'm grateful for all the, you know, all the trials and tribulations, because I feel like that shaped our sound. From all the experiences I had and all the struggles, it really pushed me as a singer. It really shaped the songs I wanted to write about. It helped me find what I wanted to write about. And but yeah, so, you know, there's ways. If you have a goal, you find a way to reach it. So.
All right.
Sure.
Well, we got Dave Bates on. Can you hear us, Dave? The guitarist extraordinaire. What's happening, my friend?
Hey, Dave.
Hey, how's it going, Bob?
Cool. This is my partner, Matt Hartnett. And
how's it going, Dave? Nice to meet you.
This is Margarita, if you haven't met. So we're just talking about the beginnings of the band and how it formed. And why don't you talk about some of the stuff you were doing before Edge of Paradise? I know you were in a cool band with David Lee Roth drummer, Greg Bissonette, and you were working with a lot of great people, Robin McCauley and stuff. Tell us how, and I know you were a big GIT student as well, one of the top students at the school. Talk a little bit about how the formation of Edge of Paradise came to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, before Edge of Paradise, I was doing a project with Robin McCauley, Greg Bissonette, Tony Franklin, and we were writing songs and recording the music, and we completed a CD, and Robin had got hired on to do the Survivor gig right about the same time we completed. So as luck would have it, I was in a music store in LA, and Margarita came in with a producer for something, I don't know what, but I was playing there with a student recital. Like, I used to teach students how to play in bands, and you know, we met there and started working on Edge of Paradise. And kind of just happened. It was like, you know, one of those chance meetings where I was looking for a singer, you know, and she was looking for a guitar player, I guess.
Right on.
Perfect. Yeah, definitely. Well, I just want to bring up a question. Let's talk about, I guess, the new record you guys have coming out. Comes out, I believe, on September 17th. It's your 4th record, The Unknown. And I just, what I'm hearing, you know, just from compared to previous releases on this record, is I think there's definitely a difference in the mix on this record, I think, compared to previous ones. I mean, it's like, Dave, your guitar is definitely, I think, a little bit more blended in on this record with the songs, rather than being sort of at the forefront where you and Margarita's vocals, you know, I think previously were. But I think that's really good, because I think it definitely allows, you know, for her voice to shine more. I think it also allows the music to be, I guess, more accessible too to a wider audience of, you know, hard rock and metal fans. So did you guys make a conscious decision on this record to sort of purposely maybe blend in the guitar more and have Margarita's vocals more highlighted compared to what you did on the previous 3 records?
Yeah, I think it was conscious, but it was a lot to do with having so many people involved in the production. Okay. Because we had Howard Benson involved on this one. And so a lot of the original singles, the first 5 singles that are coming out, those were all, you know, his doing, because he wanted the mix a certain way, and he was going back and forth with Jacob Hansen. And of course we have Neil Sanderson involved and Mike Plotnikoff. So there's quite a few people that are tweaking the mix, as they say.
Sure. No doubt. Well, and when it came to Howard, I mean, he's pretty, you know, he's known for a very unique style he uses when it comes to recording. He uses that parallel system. I know where, you know, the musicians sort of track their parts separately in isolated rooms. Did he do that with you guys? And if so, I mean, how was that experience, you know, working with him compared to, you know, Michael Wagner, who I know you guys worked with, you know, for a while before that?
Yeah, you know, we kind of been doing that for a while ourselves. I mean, Michael has a different approach just because Michael is very like, you know, get the raw emotion. And I mean, even with Michael, we did track instruments separately and then I sang separately. But with Michael, we didn't spend as much time polishing on, you know, the production side of things. But when, for example, when we did Universe, the previous album and Mike Plotnikov produced, it was kind of that approach. Like Dave actually did a lot of guitars at the home studio. I do all my keyboards at the home studio. We did the drums with Mike, and then I sang the songs with Mike. And then we sent all the tracks to Jacob. With this album, we kind of did the same thing, but I re-sang some of the vocals with Howard. And Howard kind of has a different approach as well. He really pulled out like an edge I feel like I didn't have before. But yeah, I mean, we spent so much time on each instrument. Like I sit there with the keyboards. I mean, Dave did all the guitars this time with Mike, and they layered like 8 guitar tracks. And I think, like, I mean, with all the other layers, it's like we have.
Yeah, it was an epic undertaking, and a lot of the stuff, because it was done over the Corona, you know, crisis here, we had a lot of time to spare, so we went back and forth for about a year with the guitars, and we redid them probably 3 times because Mike had, you know, like 25 different amps over at his place that we could use. So we had a lot of fun tracking the guitars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And Margarita, you have a real interesting background. For those that don't know, you obviously you came over from Europe and you were living in Russia for a while previous, right?
Yeah.
And then and you moved to Houston and then to New York. You got into acting. I know you majored in theater, and you did some off-Broadway plays. And you know, you're also an accomplished pianist. If that people don't know, classical pianist, and you've done some great stuff. But you're also an artist. You put together a killer art book and everything. So talk a little bit about your background apart from music and coming over from Europe.
Yeah, well, I was born in Armenia. When I was 2, my family moved to Moscow. And I lived there till I was 11. And that's where I got into music and theater. And I did ballet for 10 years. So in Russia, like, you know, everything's very serious. So every day I had, you know, music, ballet. So I was immersed in it. So when we moved to the US, we moved to Houston, Texas. My dad is a scientist, so he got a research opportunity, you know, to kind of expand his science career. So that's why we moved to Houston. And I tried to continue that. Of course, it was completely different.
Sure.
Yeah, everything was very different. But I ended up going to a performing arts high school, and I kept playing piano. I did a lot of competitions in Houston, and then I wanted to go to a big city because Moscow, I grew up in a big city, so that's why I look at New York like something that feels more like home. So that's why I went to New York. I went to NYU. I actually minored in music and majored in theater. So I just continued to do what I grew up doing. And I still don't know to this day what made me move to LA.
When did you move to LA?
I moved to LA. I was 20. I moved here in 2011. Actually, I moved to LA and I met Dave 2 months later.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
very cool.
So.
Awesome.
Dave, stop moving your camera.
I'm holding it. Or I'll switch arms.
Guitar play.
Well, you know, the videos, I mean, you're obviously, and what I like about Edge of Paradise is you kind of bring back the whole imagery into, and it really shows in the music videos. I think that's been lost ever since, you know, MTV stopped playing music videos. But you watch it, I mean, it's very fashioned. You could tell that you're very much into fashion, and you blend that with music, and it works so well, I think. And it's kind of cool to see that, especially in the videos. The videos are shot so well, especially your newest video for The Unknown in the desert. But all the videos are just brilliantly shot, and it really kind of brings back to the old 80s, where it shows really the imagery and the whole, I mean, it's a whole concept. Talk a little bit about how you incorporate the fashion and the image into the music.
Yeah, to me, it's always been really important to make sure the image of the band, we just have visuals to support the music, because I always wanted to kind of create a world. So it's not just music, you just immersed in the whole world of Edge of Paradise. And, I always say, like, if you look at pop music, they spend so much time, they spend so much money on their videos, and their videos are so elaborate. And, I feel like that's why pop music is so popular too, just because they do put a lot of emphasis on like the visuals. So that's, with this band, I feel like our music is very cinematic. So I always want to match that with the videos. And I design a lot of it myself. Like the last two videos, we worked with Scott Hansen, and he's a filmmaker. So he's used to creating very cinematic imagery, and we had a great director of photography. So I just told them what I envisioned, and they heard the song. They also did Digital Paradise. And, all my crazy ideas, he knew how to kind of translate them into film, and also make sure that, we don't have like millions of dollars budgets. So we were able to create stuff with what we had, and really kind of elevate everything. And also, like, for example, we put a lot of stuff about releasing the first 3 singles and music videos to kind of introduce the new album. So, for example, when you see Digital Paradise, it really showcases kind of this side of the band. You see a lot of colors, like the imagery is very kind of futuristic. Then we have My Method to Madness, and that music video kind of really showcases the energy of the band. So, for example, when you go to our show, you really get to know the band members, and like you see the energy coming through the video. And then The Unknown really showcases like this dynamic, cinematic, really emotional side of the band. But like the depth of the band, you can really see in The Unknown video. So all of these, I feel like, show the versatility of this band, because our album, all the songs, they don't sound the same, but yet they have a similar theme. So everything always has to tie in together for me.
Nice.
So that's kind of the thought behind it.
And Margaret, you just mentioned Digital Paradise, and I know I read where you mentioned that lyrically the song, it explores whether merging with technology, it says, could be our road to forever, our digital paradise, or demise, which I think is really cool, lyrical concept that's got a ton of real life meaning and implications in it. So talk a bit about your lyrics to that song, particularly with Digital Paradise.
Yeah, I've always had fascination in science and technology, and I feel like we're almost living on the brink of science fiction. The line between reality and science fiction is getting more and more blurry, and especially with this lockdown, everything was virtual. So I always try to push the boundaries, and with this song, I wanted to ask a question, because at first it started out just about exploring, the possibility of living forever, and whether we would want to live forever, and just like that. But then I tried to, I introduced like the technology aspect. With the help of technology, it would be possible to upload our consciousness into a computer, because they actually mapped a brain of a fly, and they were able to, so like technically the possibility is there. Of course, we're still very far from it, but it's, on the horizon somewhere. But there's also implications with it. So I wanted to leave it open-ended in the song and the video for people to make kind of decide for themselves whether they think it would be possible for your soul to kind of exist in this digital space, or would we just be a digital copy of ourselves. And hence the artwork, you kind of see the cyborg, but there's a skull in the back, so it kind of implies that it's dead. So I want to leave it up for people to kind of think about these things.
Well, I know the band has toured quite a bit. Obviously, this year with COVID and the previous year, I know you had to cancel a lot of the tours, but you did go out with quite a few bands. Camelot. I know you went out with Chris Broderick of Megadeth and Bullet Boys and Helmet, who I didn't know even got back together again to do some shows. Huh? Helmet and Hellion. Talk about some of the tours that you did over the last couple of years.
Yeah, the last run was we did Sonata Arctica and we did the Europe run, which we were lucky to do before the lockdown. So we got to see quite a few countries that we wanted to take the music to for quite a while. But yeah, unfortunately, the Corona thing put a damper on it. And the Helmet show here was really cool too, to see those guys play live again. It was a really good show. I don't know what Margarita's favorite show was.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, the few memorable shows we had, I mean, we did the European tour with Sonata Arctica and their Finnish band, and they've been around for like 20 years, so they have a massive European fan base. And yeah, we got to go to 26 countries, but right before that, we went to Japan and we did a show with really prominent Japanese band.
Wow!
So that was really fun. And we're planning to go back to Japan in April. So.
In April! Wow, that's awesome.
Okay.
How different is it culture-wise for you going to? I take it this is your first time in Japan, huh? Last time you were there?
Yeah, it was completely different. Their culture is really amazing. They really welcomed us in, and they even blessed the band. They had a ceremony in a Japanese temple, and they blessed the band. But like when you're playing show, I mean, people are really supportive. They buy everything because they're collectors and they love metal and rock. But also, like it's interesting. They're so polite. So after each song, there's dead silence because they have to make sure you finish playing until they hear the end of the last note. So we were like, oh my God, do they hate it? But then they start clapping. But it's just like a way of being polite. And then after the show, like, people are just so, like they bow to you and just such a different culture. They're so warm and welcoming. So, it's like really stuck out to me because Japan is very futuristic in a way, but they also preserve their history, and you see that both sides of the culture. But also, like when we went, we were going somewhere, like they took us around just to see Japan, and we had to go into the subway, and of course the subway is so packed with people, but you could hear it's so quiet because everybody like talks in a whisper voice. It's so crazy. And then they treat the outside like it's their living room. So for example, like we were on the subway and they don't eat outside anything, but like of course our drummer had like something, like he had a cookie or something, and he dropped a crumb and everybody looked. He had to pick it up, make sure it's clean. So it was just so fascinating, and we can't wait to go back there.
Awesome. Great.
Go ahead, Matt.
No, I was just going to say, well, while we're talking about live music, so what's your guys' touring plans now? I did read that you're planning on touring in 2022. Is that still in play right now, what you guys are planning on?
Yeah, I think so. We were going to go to the UK in September, but the restrictions are still a bit, I think UK now is tier 4, so I'm kind of glad held back, and we're focusing on content. I mean, we're dying to play a show. It's almost been 2 years, but I think best thing for us right now is just focus on, promoting and creating more content and getting ready. We really want to build up our stage show, so we're ready for the new year, and hopefully we'll, play big enough stages where we can land our spaceship. We'll see.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Dave, I just got a quick question for you. I mean, you mentioned before when you met Margarita, you were teaching students how to play in bands. and that's to me something I think is still very much needed, right? Because you see a lot of these great virtuoso guitarists or musicians that go on YouTube, and I mean, they can play, but the one thing they really don't know how to do is get together with other musicians and start a band and stay in a band. For one, are you still doing that? Are you still teaching students how to play in bands? And do you still see that being a major sort of, I would say major issue, but a bit of an issue for the younger musicians out there these days?
Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty big divide because you have a whole culture full of YouTube people, who just want to exist on the internet. And, that's fine too. Some people maybe don't have an interest in pursuing. I mean, because being in a band there's a lot of work that goes into it. You got to be willing to put all the work in, and the playing part of it is a very small percentage of the time. Preparation, the carrying the gear, just everything, the scheduling, the promoting. It's a big undertaking. So that's the part maybe that they're not going to understand, and maybe they don't want to now. I don't teach so much anymore, but I see it as being a problem, and Corona hasn't helped it because there's been a couple of years without shows, and everybody moved online or tried to move online. So I guess it depends what the world will look like after everything when we settle.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Well, before we end this, talk a little bit about the new guys. I know you guys have gone through numerous bassists and drummers, but you guys seem to be pretty locked in with a new drummer, Jamie Marino, and newest bassist, Ricky Bonazza. Is that how you say it, Bonazza?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ricky is the Butcher Babies bass player, so.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's a friend of ours, and he filled in on the CD because we had to take the bass up a notch because I was playing the bass prior, and that wasn't going to cut it. I'm a guitar player.
But are they playing live with you as well, or will they be playing live as a part of the band? Or
so the reason we switch out members is, like, for example, when the band started touring a lot, some of the people we had before couldn't really tour because we had plans for the rest of the year to be out on the road. So I mean, that's why kind of these changes come about, just so kind of people's lives align to what we need to do. But now, like, Jamie is our permanent drummer. The bassist, we're actually trying out live bassist today because Ricky, he has touring commitments with Butcher Babies, so we don't want the conflict, but he, he's a friend and he's an amazing bass player, so we might do some tours with him in the future if, schedule permits. But, if we find a guy that's permanent, that plays great and really fits in with the band, then we'll go with that. I mean, the three of them are coming today, and a lot of them, I mean, all three of them have great potential, so wish us luck.
Yeah.
oh,
That's great.
Yeah, it's
Very
like,
cool.
you would think, like, you live in LA and there's so many musicians. One of the hardest things is finding a band member.
Well, the hardest thing too is finding a permanent band to tour, because a lot of these people now, of course, they have regular jobs, and of course, as you get older, you have a job, you have a family, and a lot of people can't commit to tours. So it's pretty normal for bands to have a touring band and to have studio musicians play. And there's certain artists that'll have different bands, like like Michael Schenker will have a different band in Europe and a different band in the States and a different band in South America, also because he can't afford flying everyone out. So he's got, different, and so a lot of bands do that as well, but obviously you and Dave are the main focus of the band, and it's, the two of you, and that's all that matters, right? It's you and Dave.
I mean, I want to give credit to, like, a guitar player is also named Dave. David.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
I did.
So
Since
that's
I remember, he had a second guitar player.
Yeah, he's been with us for 5 years, and when we tour, I really like the dynamic of, like, the whole unit, and I think it's important to us. It's funny because, like, Howard was really surprised we have band members, because he just thought it was me and Dave too.
Right.
And then I'm always like, yeah, we're a band. This is our drummer, because they hire a lot of session musicians to play on the record. So we're like, no, Jamie's doing it. And it's funny, when he was recording, he had Neil, who's a drummer from 3 Days Grace, zooming in from Canada. We had Joe recording in the studio who was drummed for In Flames, and we had
Wow.
Mike and Dave and all of us telling Jamie what to do, and he handled it so well.
Nice.
Do you play keyboards live as well, or a piano live on stage when you tour?
No, is well, we put them on the backing track because the songs take a lot out of me. Like these songs, oh my god.
Sure, sure.
Able to like move around and connect to the audience, but you know, as we go further, I do want to have keyboard on stage for some of the songs, because it would be nice to kind of showcase that, and maybe we do some instrumental interludes where Dave and I kind of go back and forth with keyboard and guitar, because we do have that in our music. And you know, I always want to get to the point where I can put a grand piano on stage, so
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although that would be hard to tour with unless you know, all the venues have the piano there in place.
yeah,
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah. Well, cool. Anything before we close? I do. Why don't you promote? I mean, obviously, you got the new album that is coming out in September, The Unknown, and the new single and video. You could check it out on YouTube. It's doing great. I see it's already just, you know, going viral. And the new album out in September. Anything? Your art book. Talk a little bit about your art book before we leave.
Yeah, I do have an art book, but for this album, I'm actually making a painting for each song, and the first 3 paintings are already out there. People were ordering bundles that has a canvas print of each of the painting, and then I'm giving away the title track painting. So the one for The Unknown, we're doing a giveaway of that along with our guitar giveaway. So we're running that right now, and the winners are announced September 17th. So people who pre-order or pre-save our album, they just send us a screenshot and they're entered in the giveaway. And we always do guitar giveaway with each release, and we have all our winners from the past. They're all actually in bands too, so it's cool when they tag us using
nice.
the guitar. Yeah, so it's
Very
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Fantastic.
Well, anything else you want to add before we close this out here, Matt?
I guess you guys just tell the listeners and the audience and the viewers where they can go and I guess check out the new songs and, you know, just keep up on the band, just throughout your socials and plugs, all that stuff.
Yeah, so we're on all the social sites, Instagram, Facebook, just search Edge of Paradise. We're on there and we love hearing from people. We are a very social band. Check out our music videos on YouTube. You can go to our website, edgeofparadiseband.com. We have a store, edgeofparadisestore.com. Yeah, and just say hello to us and become part of the world if you just finding out about us. And our favorite thing to do is meeting people at the shows. So we can't wait to get back on the road and, you know, make that live connection.
Sure, yeah. Great.
All right.
Fantastic.
Well, definitely check out Edge of Paradise. Check out the new album, The Unknown, coming out in September on Frontiers Music. And that will be a worldwide release, correct?
Yes, it's a worldwide release. Make sure you also follow us on Spotify and Japan for an extra bonus track. But we also have a bonus track for the rest of the world. So I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It's a bit different from the album itself. It's a remix of one of the songs, and it came out super cool. So we're excited for people to hear it.
All right.
Awesome.
Hopefully we could catch the band out on tour either later this year or early next year. And maybe some big music festivals in the summer. Anything planned? Or
yeah, well, we started a new agency concerts. So it's actually a guy from Cataclysm Band. It's his agency. So
Yeah, Maurizio? Yeah.
Recently with them, so I think we'll have some announcements probably around the album release. So
very cool.
Awesome. Very cool.
All right. Well, Matt, should we close this thing off here?
Yeah, we'll close it out. Yeah, thanks you guys so much for coming on and stopping by and chatting with us. Good luck with everything, and we'll see you guys on the road for sure.
All right. Margarita, Dave, you guys take care.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.